Your phone dies, your GPS is dead, you're miles away from anywhere, and darkness is closing in. But soldiers have navigated the most hostile terrain on Earth for decades with just three things: a map, a compass, and the knowledge I'm about to share with you. This is the Army manual that decides whether you become a ghost in the wilderness or make it home alive. Welcome back to Lovely Adventures. Today we're decoding the military's classified land navigation playbook, the same one that trains soldiers, myself included, to operate anywhere, anytime, no technology required. This isn't theory, this is the real deal. The U.S. Army's TC 3-25.26, that's Training Circular 3-25.26, updated from the legendary FM Field Manual 3-25.26, is the backbone of land navigation doctrine. It's been refined over decades, tested in deserts, jungles, mountains, and urban environments across every continent. And here's the thing: the skills inside this manual aren't just for soldiers anymore. Hikers, outdoor people, survival enthusiasts, and adventurers are discovering that Army-level navigation is the closest thing you can get to being absolutely unstoppable in the field. This isn't just about getting lost. It's about understanding terrain so deeply that you can move through it with purpose, speed, and confidence, even when visibility is zero and technology fails. Let me be straight with you. GPS has made us soft. We've outsourced our spatial reasoning to satellites, and that's fine until it isn't. When you're in a canyon and your signal drops, when you're in an emergency and your battery's dead, when you're somewhere remote and nobody knows exactly where you are. Land navigation is the insurance policy you never hope to use but absolutely need to have. The Army trains every single soldier, not just scouts, not just infantry, every soldier in these fundamentals because commanders understand something crucial. Terrain is your greatest asset, your worst enemy, depending on whether you can read it. Think about it. A ranger pursuing targets through dense forests, a search and rescue team locating a missing hiker, a disaster response unit navigating collapsed infrastructure. Every one of these situations depend on someone who knows how to interpret maps, understand terrain, and navigate without electronic guidance. That's not theoretical, that's life and death. All right, let's start with the foundation. If maps are the language of terrain, then your basics are your alphabet. First, map scales. Every military map has a scale printed on it, typically 1 in 50 thousandths or 1 in 25 thousandths. What that means is simple. 1 unit on the map equals 50,000 or 25,000 units in real life. A map scale determines how much area you're looking at and how much detail you get. That same hill might take up an inch on a 1 in 50 thousandth map, but a quarter inch on a 1 in 25 thousandths. The manual teaches you to read these immediately. It's muscle memory. Second, map symbols. The military doesn't draw little pictures of things. They use standardized symbols: roads, buildings, waters, features, vegetation. You've got to learn them cold. A blue line is water, black lines are man-made features, brown contour lines are elevation. If you can't read these symbols instantly, you're already behind. Third, marginal information. Every military map has data printed around its borders. The map's name, series, scale, magnetic declination, grid reference system information, and production details. This stuff isn't decoration. Your entire navigation accuracy depends on understanding declination, which we'll hit on in a moment. Fourth, grid lines. Military maps are covered in a grid, the Military Grid Reference System, or MGRS. These lines divide the map into squares, then smaller squares within those squares. Every point on a military map has a unique grid coordinate. Instead of looking for latitude and longitude like civilians do, soldiers identify locations using the grid. It's faster, it's more precise, and it's the backbone of everything else we're going to talk about. Let's go deeper into MGRS because this is where precision lives. The Military Grid Reference System sounds intimidating, but it's actually elegant. Every map in every corner of the world can be referenced using the same system. The Earth is divided into zones. Within each zone, you have grid squares. Within each grid square, you have smaller divisions, and within those divisions, you can identify a location down to 10 meters, accurate enough to call in fire support or coordinate a rescue. Here's what you need to know. MGRS coordinates look like this: 17 SPE 4532167 or 17 SPE space 4532167. Depending on how you're writing it, the string of numbers and letters tells you everything. The first part, 17S, identifies the zone. PE identifies the grid square. Then you've got your numerical coordinates that narrow it down further. The genius part, the Army teaches soldiers to use what they call a grid reader, or by using the 10-meter precision method. You're overlaying the grid, reading coordinates in a systematic way. With practice, this becomes automatic. Why does this matter? Because when you can pinpoint exactly where you are and exactly where you need to go, you're operating with military-grade precision. No ambiguity, no guessing, just coordinates and terrain. The compass is your friend, but only if you understand it completely. The military compass is different from the civilian compasses. It's a lens-static compass. It's got a magnifying lens, a precise sighting mechanism, and it's built to work with military maps. The core concept, you're measuring angles from north, and those angles are called azimuths. An azimuth is a direction expressed as an angle from north, going clockwise. Due north is 0 degrees, east is 90 degrees, south is 180, west is 270. Everything in between is an azimuth. When you're navigating, you're converting a direction on your map into an azimuth, then following that bearing with your compass. But here's where most people mess up. True north and magnetic north aren't the same thing. True north is a geographic pole. Magnetic north is where your compass actually points. The difference between them is called declination, and it varies depending on where you are on the earth. In some places, it's negligible, and others, it's significant. The Army manual breaks down how to calculate declination and adjust your azimuths accordingly. Get this wrong, and you'll be miles off course. The process is this. You plot a line on your map between where you are and where you want to go. You align your compass with that line. You rotate the compass housing until the orienting line aligns with the grid lines on your map. You read the azimuth under the index line. Then you rotate the entire compass, holding it level until the magnetic needle aligns with the orating arrow. Now you're aligned with that bearing. You walk. That's the foundation. Now we move into the art of land navigation. This is where map reading becomes navigation. Contour lines. Every brown line on a military map represents a change in elevation. The closer those lines are together, the steeper the terrain. Wide spacing means gentle slopes. Contour intervals, the elevation change between each line, are printed on the map. On a 1 in 50,000ths map, that's typically 20 meters. On a 1 in 25,000ths map, that's 10 meters. From just looking at contours, you can build a three-dimensional picture in your mind. You can see ravines, ridgelines, valleys, and peaks. The Army teaches soldiers two advanced techniques, resection and intersection. Resection is when you're standing at an unknown location and you identify three known terrain features you can see, like a radio tower, a church steeple, a distinct hilltop. You take bearings to each of these features, then you plot those bearings backwards on your map. Where they converge is your location. It's incredibly effective and it saved lives. Intersection is the opposite. You're at a known location. You can see an unknown feature and you want to identify it. You take a bearing to that feature. You plot it forward on your map. You intersect it with your location. Where the bearing line crosses potential features is your answer. Then there's terrain association versus dead reckoning. Terrain association means you're navigating by physically matching map features to terrain features you see, following a ridge line, crossing a stream where it intersects on the map. It's intuitive and it's accurate. Dead reckoning means you're tracking distance and direction, counting paces, checking your compass frequently, calculating where you should be. In reality, you use both together. Let's talk about something the manual covers extensively that civilian outdoors people often ignore: night navigation. When the sun goes down, everything changes. You can't use terrain association the same way. Features blend together. Distances become deceptive. This is where dead reckoning becomes crucial. You're relying on compass bearings, pace count, and time. You know how many paces it takes you to walk 100 meters. The Army calls this calibrating your pace. You count these paces religiously. Every 100 meters, you check your compass. You move methodically. You don't rush. One mistake in the dark becomes a miles-long detour. Trust me, I know about that. The manual teaches soldiers to navigate at night using minimal light, red light to preserve night vision, or in complete darkness using just their compass and pace count. It sounds insane until you realize how many military operations happen in the dark. Real scenario. A ranger patrol needs to move 8 clicks through unfamiliar terrain to a target location. The insertion is at 2100 hours, no external light, no GPS. They've got their map, they've got their compass, and their training. The navigator calculates the azimuth. They mark waypoints on the map to check their progress. They pace count. Every 500 meters they stop, verify their bearing, and adjust. When they arrive, they're within 50 meters of the target. That's not luck, that's training. Or consider a search and rescue operation. A hiker is missing in rough terrain. The SAR team needs to establish a search grid. They're using map coordinates to ensure they're covering every acre. They're using terrain association to move efficiently. They're correlating what they see with what the map tells them. Land navigation skills save that hiker's life. Or a military convoy operating in a hostile area with no GPS. The navigator is reading maps, identifying checkpoints, coordinating with squad leaders about position. When an IED threat closes one route, the navigator quickly identifies an alternate based on the terrain and map analysis. Those seconds of decision making save lives. Here's what I want you to understand. The Army's land navigation manual isn't theoretical. Every technique, every procedure, every piece of information has been tested in the field. It's been refined through decades of military operations. Rangers have used it to move through Pakistani mountains. Infantry used it in urban environments. Pilots use it for evasion. Special operations uses it as a foundation for everything else. And you don't need to be in the military to apply this. Whether you're hiking in remote mountains, preparing for an emergency, or just want to understand the world around you at a deeper level, Land Nav changes everything. You move with a purpose. You understand terrain. You don't panic when technology fails because you know you've got the skills that work in any condition. The manual covers everything we talked about: map reading, grid systems, compass use, terrain interpretation, night navigation, and then it goes deeper. It covers slope assessment, vegetation patterns, water navigation, and contingency procedures. It's comprehensive because it has to be. Lives depend on it. The difference between someone who's lost and someone who's found is often just one skill: knowing how to read a map and trust a compass. That's the gift of this knowledge. If you want to dive deeper into this, the full TC 3-25.26 manual is available online. Grab it, study it, practice these skills before you need them, because the time to learn navigation isn't when you're lost, it's now. Lovely Adventures is all about building genuine skills for real-world situations. If this resonated with you, subscribe, drop a comment about your navigation experiences, and remember, stay alert, stay alive.